Hello, my name is Joshua Rudd with Ruddshomefarm, and today I'm going to show you what I've learned growing indoor hydroponic strawberries for over a year. Let's get into it.
Okay, so here are my strawberry plants. I also have a second pair over here, second set. Here is the fruit. Some of the fruit. This is a little bit ripe, but here's some fruit on here, and I have some down there as well. So I am getting strawberries, and it is growing indoors, as you could tell. So there's that. And so my first topic I want to talk about is aeration is not enough. At first my plants did good with just an air bubbler, but I was having a lot of issues with root rot. And I put chemicals in there, HydroGuard, to ensure that the bacterial infection didn't happen on my plants, but they still got root rot. And as you can probably see, some of these plants, especially this guy right here, as you can see, very black. It's still hanging in there. You can see this one's making fruit too. So, but that plant died all the way, and then it had to grow all the way back. But the air bubbler, I had two air bubblers in there, and it doesn't work. So what I did was I added a little pump, if I'll show you here in a second. So take this out here. This is just one of those pumps at the bottom that you suck out a fish tank for, and I put the biggest attachment I had on there. I think that's a 1/2 inch. Don't quote me. So this mixes it, and it shoots it up, and it really creates a lot of humidity as well. So it creates humidity, and so sometimes the roots want to be wet all the way up, and so this sprays water and makes a humid environment, so all the roots are wet at all times instead of there's dry roots and wet roots, and the plant gets a lot of shock if every time I fill up the water with more nutrients after letting it go down, because this is kind of like a crack key DWC system with an air bubbler. But as the water level goes down, the roots not touching the water would dry up, and then they would suck in air and be air roots. But then I would refill up the container, and then the plant would be shocked because you put water in them again. But if you have that pump spewing up water, then it creates a humid environment to where everything is moist. As you can see right now, the water is not even high enough to touch them, but up here is moist, and everything up here, all the roots are moist, and that's because of that pump right there. I'm gonna plug it back in. See there she is back in action. As you can see, it's a smaller pump. I had a bigger pump, but it would make too big of a splash. You don't want this to be spraying water really hard. You just want this mixing, air bubbling, can do way better than an air bubbler. So if you add that to older plants, like I never had an issue with any plant that like lettuce and any other plant that you only keep for so long. So point number 2 is plants respond to your attention. So when I'm pollinating the flowers a lot, they'll produce more flowers for me to produce, but I have been neglecting. As you can see, a lot of these flowers haven't been pollinated. I haven't been down here every day to pollinate these flowers, and so if you're not here pollinating the flowers, then the plant will focus on growth. I think, what is this? I think this is a weed. What the heck is it? Oh no, that's a strawberry plant that grew seed berry that grew strawberries. That's interesting. That's interesting. This is a strawberry fruit, and the strawberries are growing out of it. That's interesting. As you can see, I haven't been down here a ton, as much as I should have. Kids and school and stuff going on, but there's that. So they'll send out less flowers, and they'll focus on growing, and pretty much I think it's not even used to growing this long. A strawberry season is only from growth to finish maybe 6 months, and these been growing constantly for over a year. So I think the flowers are getting smaller. I think I need to induce an artificial winter where I just cut this whole thing down and let it grow back and get back, because these flowers are really small and so is the fruit. The fruit is getting smaller and smaller. The flowers are smaller and smaller. And so I'm trying to see if it's maybe, and then as you can see, the plant is way too big. And there's a lot of dead underneath here. So I think if I just chop it all off, then start over, it should come back better and bigger fruit. So it's like plants kind of like, they have like a mind of their own. It's like when you put them in certain environments, they'll respond a certain way. When I'm pollinating the flowers, they'll add more flowers. When I'm not, I'll focus on growing, so on and so forth. Oh, and another thing I noticed that when changing nutrients, I used to add water and let it sit so I could kind of stretch out my nutrients. But if you add water instead of refilling with more nutrients, the fruit tastes watery. So I add a whole new batch of nutrients. The fruit tastes sweet, but if I fill it up again a second time with water, it'll taste watery. So that's interesting how that works. And my final thing that I learned is that you don't have to be perfect to do this. Like at one time, I was only coming down here just to change the water. I've ignored these guys. I've forgotten about them. I was like, oh man, I need to come down here. They need attention. As long as you don't let the container run dry of water, then strawberries, they want to live. They want to survive. They want to bear fruit. And so if you, oh, that's a nice big one. If you want to grow strawberries, I say give it a shot. Very easy plant. It's not the easiest. If I was a start all over. If you're a beginner, you want to start with lettuce because there's no fruit to where there's no hand pollinating, because you have to pollinate each flower for it to be a fruit. As you can see, all these flowers have not been pollinated, therefore there won't be any fruit, and then the plant thinks something's wrong, and so there's a whole little thing. So I'd say if you want to do hydroponics, to try it. What I like about strawberries is that it's a low crop. Like right now I tried growing tomatoes several times, but keeping the light over tomatoes, this is my light right here, over tomatoes is really hard because the tomato just shoots straight up. Whereas this is like a ground crop, so I can keep my light nice and low and cover the plant evenly. So hopefully that helps you grow some hydroponic strawberries. This is indoor. If you live in an apartment, if you live in a townhouse or something, I live in a townhouse. So it's a great, the kids love it. The kids come down here and eat all the time. And so I recommend it. If you like any of my tools or equipment, everything is on my website with affiliate links in the description below. This is my indoor setup. Go join my website and subscribe to my email list too, if you see anything you like. Have a good day.